Hey everybody, how's it? Aloha, this is Geebz here, your old composer here at the Decomposer Lounge, peeling back those layers and dissecting your favorite tracks. SLIPKNOT Vermillion comes in for number 7 on my countdown for my 1-year anniversary. I look forward to this time next week, when I have released my very last video of this little session I have before I take a much needed break. And without a doubt, SLIPKNOT has been a very important part of my journey, and I think I've done this will be probably the 4th song of theirs that I've done, and I really enjoy everything from, I mean, it's such a massive sized band, and that they're all in it, and that, you know, from what I understand from things that I've learned on the internet, that, you know, how they really do lean on each other as a band of that size, to get the sound that they do and the performance and everything like that, you know. And so it's without a doubt, Slipknot and Mudvayne and bands like that that were my first listens to on this journey have been really important to me on this journey. You know, the expansion of my, you know, headspace on all these genres and stuff. So anyhow, like usual, I want to thank you guys for the support. You guys know, you already know, but I got to say it, right? That these videos don't support my channel. Any advertisements pop up or anything like that, it's not mine. It's the record companies and the artists, so deserved. But if you want to buy me a cup of coffee, Super Cool Beans, I should probably release a coffee called Super Cool Beans. That would be kind of fun. Don't you think? White label something? Oh, my manurial brain. Yeah, manurial brain. Anyhow, if you want to buy me a cup of coffee, the link is down below. Also my Patreon, a lot of people are drifting over there, of which I'll still be kind of working on my break. I'm not going to be completely dipping out on Patreon. Go ahead and check that out. If you don't want to buy me a cup of coffee because you want a little something for your money, at least you can parachute in for a month if you'd like, and then dig out afterwards. But if you want to go support, you can do that. And the link for the headsets will also be there, and also for Vermilion, Slipknot. That link will be down there from Spotify. All right, guys, let's do... Sorry, I'm here. I'm awake. It's early. I got this. I got this. I'm sure I'm going to be awake. I'm sure I'm going to be woke as fanark after I listen to this. All right, guys. SLIPKNOT Vermillion. All right. When I see her, it's worse, but the stress is astounding. It's now or never, she's coming home. She's the only one that makes me sigh. Hard to say what caught my attention. Fixed and crazy, ain't been attraction. geez, I can't believe I went 240 into it without stopping. Okay. The reason is because I was really getting into the choice of notes that they were using on their riff and how creative they were being with switching off, let's just say the principal part of the riff. So they open up the opening tone of the guitars. It's really unique in this journey that I'm on with my own guitar tones, because I'm just playing around with the idea of having fun with riffs and you know, just being challenged as an old composer with a completely brand new style, thinking, you know, hey, I just want to have fun learning how to do this, and this is really great. Trust me, no plans on releasing stuff, if you know what I mean. But I think one of the most challenging things that I've faced as well and trying to learn are the tones of these guitars. And, you know, I've heard so many bands have so many unique tones based around that chug. You know, that style of that chug and stuff. And I love the tone that these guys got on their guitar. That whole front section doesn't sound like that overly driven, crunchy thing, which I have found out is a noob mistake, right? We all think if in order to get that sound, you're going to crank your gain and get it as you know, grindy and gritty as possible. Come to find out, not true. But I love the fact that that sound that they have is as pure as the driven metal can be, but yet it's still contained. Like, I'm not saying overly compressed or anything. It's still got this sound to it that, like I just said, it's just not overdriven, and therefore it's a lot more palatable, audible for me to pick up on what they're playing. When the vocals come in, that speaking voice that he's got is really dark and rich. Kind of reminds me of God, I can't remember who I did a band about 4 or 5 months ago that also had that really great rich talking voice and stuff like that. But at that point is when they were the guitars were taking bits and pieces of starting off the riff on this side, finishing it on this side, and you can detect a tone difference. So these guys didn't dial in the same exact tone, it sounds like, to get the sound. They each got their own unique sounds going in here. It's not identical tone design or anything like that. So I really dug that. And then they power into the vocals. The drums are just killing. You probably saw me a few times kind of straighten up my spine a little bit on some of the fills there. And I'm sure that you saw me doing this. Once again, it's just how I am about the bass. If I probably would have been a professional musician in a band, though, you know, the guitar players get all the girls and stuff like that, supposedly, I still would have probably been a bass player, because in here is where I feel, you know, when bass players are doing what they're doing. A lot of times it could be just in the pocket where they, you know, that's where we belong. That's where bass players sometimes belong. That's to hold the bottom down. But when they move around at the end of their phrases and stuff, and they're doing all their, you know, and they get back into it, that just makes such a difference, especially when it's, you know, in unison with some kind of a fill with the drum. But that yell, that freaking yell that this lead singer has, I thought for a second that maybe it was the length in which he held it out. I mean, I've already journeyed into a couple of bands and artists, as you know, that's got these long yells, but man, that is as authentic and from the gut as I could feel. That's why I was like going, damn, this boy's getting frayed inside that vocal. All right, so let me drift back a little bit. Let's keep going. Okay, I'm going to stop it here for a second, and then I promise I'll go back a little bit. We'll just glam out on the rest of the track. The guitar solo, for some reason, kind of reminds me of Steve Vai. There was a song that he did something about horsey or bad horsey or something like that on one of his albums. And a lot of that was using the effects you can get out of the guitar with the wah pedal. You know, these like really long notes that are bending and, you know, grinding up and stuff like that, and then they breathe a little bit with a little bit of a fill and bring it up. And that was sending full messages to me of Steve Vai, and then the way he finished it too, in that style, you know, which I can really appreciate too. And the fact of the matter is that when you, from what I can feel, I like the space in that solo because, you know, playing sometimes over really chunky fat riffs that are going. You know, there's always a great guitar player can find all the room in the world to do solos, but for me, the choice of a solo and how it's played based on what's happening in the background is so important. And that's what, remember I did that Eddie Van Halen video and I told you that our worlds kind of glanced off and we had, you know, a minute in the universe together and talk story, is when Eddie had said, when I had said to Eddie, I said, what do you think is one of the most powerful things about your solos? And he had said, the guys. And I understood that. You know, at first I was like, wait, I asked you a question about your solo, and then the way he turned and said, no, it's Alex and Michael, you know, and what they're doing, you know, that makes my solo stand in of itself, makes it sound great, you know, and this was a great example of that. The lead guitarist on this, that just desire to bend and just pull every bit of yoke out of this visceral kind of sound he delivered. Another thing I want to say is that repetitive little hook, the da 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 da, whatever. I'm sorry, forgive me. I really like that. That, even though that doesn't happen often in the song, it's not like a standard composed song where that hook, you're in it within a minute to win it thing that I've always said on my videos. That repetitive part of that really does stick out to the point where it's still cycling in my head even as I speak. So I really dig that. Okay, let me go back a little bit, and then I'm not going to say anything for the rest of this and I'll do a few closing thoughts, like I do, just a few. Yeah, right. God, I love that toy box vibe that we just heard at the end. And I don't know if that was in the song during the hook when it was completely being blown out by the band. You know, I didn't hear anything definitive that made me go, you know, because I know from the past they got that in their skill set of composition that they will lean into. Something else I want to say that I've learned is difficult. It's difficult for me, at least, is those really fast 16th notes that the guitar player was playing on the side, just holding that, you know. What I like about that is I have a hard time doing it. I'm not really consistent in a lot of things that I probably should be as a somewhat guitar player. But I've never been really good at holding more than maybe 2 measures of that without having to slow down, or something happens, or I'm having challenges with my picking hand or something, or rolling my pick. I don't know. I haven't focused in on it and drilled down on it, but I sure can be super appreciative of it. And when I was listening to it, I was listening to it a little deeper than I normally would have, because I was listening for nuances, slight velocity changes in it, you know, because not every note is picked at the same exact identical velocity in most cases. You can kind of cherry that out a little bit. I believe it's if once you've got the signal in there, you can compress it and then kind of normalize it a bit. But I really am in awe of musicians that have that kind of stamina, that did so much, that kind of wood shedding, you know, to get that as perfect as it sounds. And like I said, that whole hook now, the whole thing that faded out, and also that last section of vocals before they peeled into this, kind of a haunting lyric. I've been catching a bit of that, because you know me, I'm not really all that on the listen, but man, it was super mental. I really dug it. I want to thank you guys so much for checking it out. And yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So this was number 7 on my countdown, and can't believe I'm a week away from my 1-year anniversary. All right, guys, take care of yourself. You know what all the support's all about. If you want to do that, that's all right there. Cup of coffee, Patreon, links below, all kinds of great stuff. I see you guys tomorrow. Aloha. All right.